woman in the floral cardigan standing on my porch is purple. Not metaphorically purple, actually purple, from her fingertips to her elbows, like she just wrestled a giant blueberry and lost. She's screaming at me about hazardous booby traps at 6 in the morning when the patrol car rolls up, and the officer just stares. Beside her feet on my welcome mat, a splattered cardboard box hisses lavender foam across the concrete. Purple droplets splatter the white porch railing. On my doorbell camera feed playing on my phone, her late-night visit loops over and over in high definition. She points at the screen with a shaking purple finger and shrieks that I set her up, that I'm a menace to the neighborhood. The officer squints at her violet hands, then at me standing there in my bathrobe, then back at her. He says slowly, like he's processing each word individually, "Set you up to steal his mail, ma'am?" I'm Evan Pike, a quiet analytics guy living in Glove Meadows, a neighborhood where the HOA newsletter prints lawn height reminders in bold font and underlines them twice for emphasis. My hobbies include chess, playing guitar on my back patio, and convincing delivery drivers to toss packages over my back gate so the porch pirates don't get them first. I work from home most days, keep to myself, pay my dues on time, and have never once violated the 73-page HOA covenant document. Our antagonist here is Marla Yates, HOA president for 6 consecutive years, cardigan enthusiast with a collection that could fill a boutique, and self-appointed security committee consisting of one neon yellow vest and a whistle she uses like punctuation marks in conversation. For 3 months straight, my packages had been vanishing into thin air. Pet camera filters I'd ordered for a project, a travel tripod for my photography hobby, my mother's birthday shawl that she'd been asking about for weeks and was a custom order from a small business overseas. In the HOA Facebook group, Marla posted nightly warnings about transients in hoodies prowling our streets. She'd write these long dramatic posts about suspicious vehicles and unknown persons, always ending with a reminder that she was keeping us all safe. But my doorbell camera only ever saw one person approaching my porch after deliveries arrived, and she was always wearing a cardigan. Marla's personal campaign against me escalated quickly after I started asking questions. She began taping these official-looking secure parcel stickers over my mailbox, citing an HOA rule about unsecured deliveries that absolutely does not exist anywhere in our bylaws. I checked every single page. Then she started parking her sedan directly across from my house every evening with a notebook in her lap, writing down timestamps like some kind of raccoon accountant tracking garbage schedules. She'd sit there for hours, sipping from a travel mug, occasionally taking photos with her phone. Twice I caught her on camera letting herself through our communal parcel locker with a key fob that only board members are supposed to have for emergencies, then redistributing boxes that never quite seemed to find their actual owners. She'd arrive at odd hours, open lockers with the master key, pull out packages, inspect them like a customs agent, and then either take them or rearrange them into different compartments. When I finally confronted her in the clubhouse parking lot and asked about my missing deliveries, she gave me this thin smile that didn't reach her eyes and said in her syrupy voice that I could avoid theft entirely by routing all my packages to her house for proper inspection and secure storage. Right. And foxes can hold the keys to the henhouse while we're at it. So I got creative. I bought a few decoy boxes online, completely legal, filled them with foam packing material, labeled them with my actual name and address in clear printing, and added harmless clothing-safe dye ampoules inside along with biodegradable glitter packets, the exact kind they use for theater pranks and gender reveal parties. The dye was specifically marked non-toxic, the kind kids could get on their hands without any danger. I even stood in front of my doorbell camera and said clearly, "For the record, this is not harmful to anyone, just humiliating if you steal it. This is my property on my porch and I have every right to protect it." Then I left them on my porch like bait, positioned perfectly in camera view. I also sent a formal email to the entire HOA board that said in professional language, "Please stop touching my mail, this is a federal offense, and I'm documenting everything." Marla's reply came back within an hour, and I could practically hear her angry typing through the screen. She'd issued me a $75 fine for what she called luring crime to the neighborhood and creating an attractive nuisance. She attached a 3-paragraph explanation of why my packages were a security risk and how her inspections were actually protecting me. At 11:37 at night, according to my doorbell camera's timestamp, the cardigan breezes up my front path like she owns the place. She's wearing dark clothing, but that signature floral cardigan is unmistakable even in night vision mode. She does this practiced porch pirate crouch, the kind you see in viral videos, lifts one of my decoy boxes with both hands close to her chest, and then boom. A gentle pop, a lavender confetti geyser erupting right in her face, biodegradable glitter spreading in a shimmering purple cloud that coats her from head to waist. She bolts down the walkway, leaving purple shoe prints on the concrete like some kind of abstract art installation, and I can hear her shrieking even through my closed windows. Within an hour, she's calling the police from her kitchen, and I know this because I can hear her on speakerphone when the officer calls me for my side of the story. She's reporting that a resident is stockpiling hazardous chemicals and setting booby traps designed to cause bodily harm. She also sends an email carbon copied to the entire board about my terror packages and demanding an emergency meeting to have me fined and possibly evicted. The subject line is in all caps. The next morning at 7, 2 officers knock on my door. I show them the complete footage, starting from the moment she approaches my porch, the empty dye ampoules with their safety labels still attached, and the entire email trail documenting months of her interference with my mail. I even show them receipts proving these were my packages, addressed to me, on my property. Then I dial a number my uncle, who's been a mail carrier for 30 years, gave me months ago when I first mentioned my package problem. The Postal Inspection Service. When the postal inspector arrives about an hour later, quiet shoes and serious eyes carrying a badge I've only seen on true crime shows, Marla tries to sprint to the narrative finish line with her version about safeguarding neighborhood property values and preventing crime. She's talking fast, gesturing with those purple-stained hands. The inspector lets her finish, takes notes, then asks just one question in this calm, measured voice that somehow sounds more intimidating than yelling. "Do you possess unauthorized keys to the parcel locker system, Ms. Yates?" She hesitates for just a second too long, her eyes darting to the side. The inspector's eyes drop to the violet fingerprints glowing all over the broken-down decoy box still sitting on my porch in an evidence bag. Suddenly the entire dynamic in my living room tilts like a seesaw. The inspector starts collecting evidence, cataloging purple-stained bubble wrap, photographing Marla's hands under different lighting conditions, and requesting the HOA's complete key audit log for the past 6 months along with security footage from the parcel locker area. He makes phone calls in my kitchen using terms like federal jurisdiction and mail fraud. Turns out Marla borrowed the spare key fob from the management company 9 months ago and never logged it in the official record book, which is itself a violation of HOA policy. Even worse, and this is where my jaw actually dropped, she'd forwarded 3 of my missing packages directly to her home address for what she called verification purposes, then marked them all as returned to sender in the tracking system. The patrol officer watches my doorbell camera clip again and does this slow smile that comes from connecting dots in real time. Marla insists with rising panic in her voice that the dye trap constitutes a chemical weapon under some statute she can't quite name. The postal inspector responds in this perfectly deadpan tone that it's food-grade dye and craft glitter, the kind used at children's parties, but stealing mail is an actual federal felony carrying up to 5 years in prison. He turns to me and asks very formally if I'd like to press charges. I nod once, as polite as a librarian checking out books, and say yes, absolutely. The emergency HOA meeting 3 days later is absolutely packed. Half the cul-de-sac shows up because they all saw the purple parade photos on Nextdoor and everyone wants front row seats to the drama. People are standing in the back. Someone brought popcorn. The postal inspector presents an actual slideshow on the clubhouse projector with time-stamped parcel locker entries, doorbell camera clips from multiple neighbors who came forward after hearing about my case, and a detailed ledger showing misplaced packages mysteriously rerouted to board member M. Yates over the past 8 months. 23 packages total from 7 different households. Marla tries to gavel the projector into silence, but she's so flustered that the gavel head flies off the handle and rolls under a folding chair with this pathetic clatter. Someone in the audience laughs. She reaches for the microphone with hands still faintly violet, the kind of dye that stains keratin for weeks, and whispers into it that she was only protecting property values and preventing crime. Her voice cracks halfway through. I stand up from my seat in the back and hold up my mother's birthday shawl, the one the inspector retrieved that same afternoon from Marla's garage, still in its original mailer with my address clearly visible. I ask her directly, speaking clearly so everyone can hear, "You were protecting property values by stealing my mother's shawl?" The entire room gasps in unison like a Greek chorus. The treasurer starts sweating visibly and admits that HOA funds actually purchased the security vest, the extra key fob, and here's where it gets really interesting, a wireless signal jammer that Marla had been using to knock out doorbell cameras in a 3-house radius for the past 2 months. which is extremely illegal under FCC regulations, and also happened to have purple fingerprints all over it when the inspector searched her car. The postal inspector reads out the official charges in his formal voice that echoes through the silent room. Mail theft, possession of an illegal signal jamming device, filing false police reports, and obstruction of mail delivery. The board votes to remove her from her position right there in the middle of the meeting, 17 votes to 2. She tries to make a dramatic exit, but glitter literally shakes from her cardigan like a snow globe someone turned upside down, leaving a sparkling trail across the industrial carpet. Marla eventually pleads out in court 2 months later. 2 years probation, full restitution to every affected resident, which turns out to be 9 families totaling over $3,000 that she has to pay back within a year, and 120 hours of community service, specifically at the post office counter where she has to smile and say next in line to customers. The judge adds what I consider a delightful flourish. She's barred from serving on any HOA board for 5 years and must post a written apology on the Glove Meadows HOA homepage for 6 months where everyone can see it every time they log in. When the judge reads the sentence, Marla's face goes from purple stain to bright red, and she opens her mouth but no sound comes